Now, using significant figures in calculations. In chemistry, we're going to collect data in the lab, for example, and we will actually use this data in calculations. For example, if I want to calculate the density of something, I would have to take the mass and divide by the volume. Or if I have to add masses to different weights, let's say. Or if I have to subtract volumes, so on and so forth. So there are rules that you have to use to help you determine how many significant figures my answer should end with or end up with. So let's look at it. The first rule here is multiplication and division, because multiplication and division are opposite operations. And let's read what the rule says. It says the result carries the same number of significant figures as the number with the fewest significant figures. So let's look at an example. If I have a rectangle and I would like to calculate the area for a rectangle, but we need, of course, some measurements. So here's the length. And let's say this length is 6.120 centimeters. And the width is 3.0 centimeters. So let's say you've got two people who measured the different dimensions. Well, we know that area is length times width. We're using this for an example. So we're going to take the length, which is 6.120, and we're going to multiply by the width, which is 3.0 centimeters. Well, before we calculate the answer, let's look at how many significant figures are in each. From the last video, talked about the rules. So here we have 4 significant figures. Remember, that 0 comes at the end. It is not a trailing 0 because there's a decimal point. And this one only has 2 significant figures. So what do I have to go by? Well, the keyword here is the fewest. That means I have to go with 2 significant figures. Why? Simply, your width is less certain than your length. And you cannot simply, in your answer, assume more certainty or become more sure than your least uncertain, or sorry, than your less certain value, which is the width. So you can't say, if I were to go with 4, then I'm actually saying that the width should have also 4 significant figures. So again, that is not allowed. So let's calculate this. Take 6.120 multiplied by 3.0, and we get 18.360. Well, again, I need to go with 2 significant figures. So let me count my first 2 sig figs. 1, 2. The 1 and the 8 are my first 2 significant figures. Then what do I have to do? I have to round. So what comes after this number? A 3. So if you remember your rounding rules, anything 4 and below, you basically drop the numbers and keep the numbers that preceded them the same. If it was 5 and above, you increase it. But in this case, it's simply going to become 18. And of course, square centimeters, or centimeters squared. So now let's look at addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction is a little bit different. It goes by decimal places. So it says here the result carries the same number of decimal places as the number with the fewest decimal places. So decimal places. if you don't remember what a decimal place is, I'm going to show you. So if I have a number such as 1.0660, a decimal place is any number, all the number that follows the decimal point. So this is my first decimal place, second, third, and fourth. So in this case, I have 4 decimal places. So let's look at an example. If I were to add these numbers together, 16.210 plus 4.92 plus 4.88365. Well, you have a choice here. You can count the least number, the decimal places in each and just round to the end, or you can actually line them up. So I'm going to line them up the same way. So I'm going to take the 16.210. I'm going to line up the decimal places, decimal points. Take the 4 and the 9 and the 2. Notice how I lined up the decimal points, and then I'm going to take the the third number, 4.88365. So the rule says that you go with the least. So what you do is you draw a line, okay, with the least number of decimal places. So this one has the least number of decimal places, the 4.92. So then a line should be drawn right there. I still add them up completely, the whole number, but my number should not have more decimal places than the second number. So if I add them up, be 16.210 plus 4.92 plus 4.88365. The answer would be, let me copy it down here, 26.01365. So again, I should have no more than 2 decimal places, so I should stop here. What comes after that 1? A 3. That means I'm going to keep the 1 the same, so my final answer will be 26.01. So again, the rule is different for addition and subtraction, and it's a common mistake that students make when they mix up the two, addition, subtraction, and multiplication, division.